Good evening. In a management class here at Ithaca College, they'll warn you against making decisions by committee where everyone gets a say. But just down the road, the city of Ithaca's most recognizable business, Moosewood, does just that. Moosewood is a multinational name, a restaurant famous for pioneering vegetarian cooking when it wasn't in vogue. They're known all over the world for their cookbooks too, a mainstay in kitchens from Ithaca to Australia and everywhere in between. The restaurant has always been owned by a group of people numbering from 19 to 12 over the years, called the Moosewood Collective. They make decisions jointly and are, of course, after many years by each other's sides, fast friends. They rarely sit down for interviews together. The most recent example we could find was in the 1990s. But 5 of the collective members sat down with ICTV Reports. And here's that story. How do you grow a restaurant? Are there steps, seeds you need, a right amount of sun or water? How about the people, the ones who work there or the ones who will eat your food? Do you let them find you, drawn in by a mutual love of that food? How about if what you cook is unique, if it's vegetarian? Has everybody always loved food, even before you came to this? Have all been people who love food?
That was the initial draw, I think.
These 5 are owners of Moosewood, arguably Ithaca's most famous restaurant, the pioneering force behind vegetarian cooking, known and admired across the globe. We interviewed them in Moosewood on a bustling Sunday morning. Any noises you may hear are from the open and active restaurant. From left to right, they are Susan Harville, David Hirsch, Joan Adler, Winnie Stein, and Ned Asta. They're part of a 19-person collective of owners, each with an equal stake in the restaurant and its world-renowned business. That business includes everything from merchandise to the gospel of vegetarian cooking, the Moosewood Cookbook.
The first Moosewood Cookbook, which put us on the map, came out in 1977. 10 years after that, we did our first Moosewood Restaurant Cookbook, which was new recipes from Moosewood, and we've done 14 now.
I read it's 5 million copies.
Yeah, about. Which is more than most libraries have for books. It's a huge amount of books that have been, well, if it's 5 million that have been published, then you think how many have people shared recipes or copied them and given them out.
They've been the trendsetters in vegetarian cooking, reimagining meat-based recipes without the meat, something they call moosewoodizing. That's a word in your own private dictionary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Moosewood's cuisine, though, has always been based on ancient peasant cuisines. Grain-based. They're all grain-based, all over the world. And
legumes thrown in.
Yeah.
Legumes, absolutely.
So it becomes kind of easy to eliminate the meat, to make it healthier, to make it lighter.
Each collective member equally presides over what many would consider a vegetarian food empire.
There probably isn't a recipe that has gone into our cookbooks or that we serve at the restaurant that hasn't gone through many iterations, and the iterations are the result of different chefs in the restaurant working with it. And that's the way we perfect them.
There's definitely a sense, even when you do something on your own here, you can't say, I just created that entirely out of my own being. I was influenced by David, I was influenced by all these people.
It's what sets Moosewood apart, like a secret ingredient.
It's a complicated but interesting story. So
It all weaves together.
yeah. So we gave each other permission to explore things and try to do things a little different, I think.
After long meetings.
After long meetings.
Founded in 1973, Moosewood was started by 7 owners and friends, serving an all-vegetarian menu out of a pint-sized space in Ithaca's DeWitt Mall.
It's like, hey, let's put on a restaurant.
For real, because
We weren't doing it to become rich.
These 5 weren't part of the original founding 7 owners, but they were there for perhaps the most important part of Moosewood's history.
It was a felicitous combination of people in that,
At a time in history.
yeah, in that it was a time in history where we really shared values
Its steady rise to fame in the mid to late 70s on the heels of the hippie movement.
I have this like incredible memory, and it's with Ned, because we used to wait tables together.
We were a team waiting on tables.
And we were setting up the outside one summer evening, like early in the summer, and people started lining up around the mall, and we were like, "Hey, there must be something going on in town. What's going on?" And it was for us, but we had no clue. Remember,
We were
and we were
new.
running around going, "Do we have enough forks? What are we gonna do? Do we have enough napkins?" People, it just
Share the
was like this thing that just happened.
It was so
Well, it
exciting.
became more than a local phenomenon.
Yeah. And
It's very enormously gratifying to have that kind of popularity. And at the same time, you have to deliver. You know, because you don't want anybody to be disappointed. So there's that little bit of pressure on you to
Yes, that
more than a
entree.
little bit, you know. You got to make it good. And so, but on the other hand, you know, we know we can do it. So there's that.
In television, they say, create a show that you want to watch. Did you guys create a restaurant that you wanted to
Oh, God, yeah.
Absolutely.
And we wanted to eat it.
I-
That
Oh,
was the
yeah.
key.
And I
Yeah.
still
And
feel
because
that
nothing
way.
like that existed.
Yeah.
Right.
And in fact, I mean, when people talk to us about why didn't you expand, why didn't you, start, it was like we wanted to live here too.
Everyone with the collective has had a different path to Moosewood. But there's a common theme: serendipity. Take David Hirsch as an example.
I started here 40 years ago, and I had jobs before that, mostly like desk jobs, doing drafting, and working in architecture. And we came here to eat, and I thought, wow, this is really, it's interesting food, and I had always been into food.
Or Sarah Harville. One night in 1973, she walked into Moosewood to help an overbooked waitstaff.
Moosewood isn't something that I ever intended as a career. I think I was supposed to be an English professor.
Sarah hasn't left since. In a way, it's home for her. A common theme from our conversation: those words, home, family, and love, often used more than once.
I would have to say it was definitely the first place I ever worked where I was openly a gay man. And it was completely 100% acceptable. I knew that there was nobody who was, going to have any problem with that.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer 20 years ago, and I had a mastectomy. People were coming into the room when I came out of the, what do you call it? You come
The anesthesia.
with miso ginger salads, which is like my favorite thing in the whole world. I mean, just such love. And then they had a moment of silence in the kitchen during my operation. I don't know, people outdo themselves, and how could you not love them?
Amidst it all, they've cared for Moosewood like a family business, as if it's the glue that holds them all together. The care has rubbed off, too, creating a network of die-hard fans who love the Moosewood as much as the owners do.
They want to tell you their story. They want to tell you, like, when they first made a Moosewood recipe, or when, how they got their first Moosewood cookbook. And they, often they are from our generation. And so they sort of feel like they were part of, like, the Moosewood movement.
Stewardship of something that impactful seems to breed a sort of symbiotic need. A restaurant defined by the owners who care so deeply for it, and owners who define themselves by the restaurant they call home.
I actually stopped working in the restaurant about 2 years ago, and I have continued having dreams, constantly dreaming about the restaurant, being in the kitchen, being in situations. And I wake up and I think, I guess this is just so much of my identity, of who I am, that, it's silly to deny it or to surprise me.
In the early days, we kept a book of dreams in our locker room, and every time somebody had a dream about Moosewood, they might write it down in there.
Moosewood has that special trait, emboldening its staff, its fans, and its owners with a sense of belonging with them even when they're not within the restaurant's walls. So they're not just owners of a restaurant, but architects of its prestige and now agents of its lasting legacy. The same legacy that molded them.